chosen one. I am drawing near to invite you to step out of delay and open your heart to a transformation that has been quietly prepared for a very long time. I am Michael, and I have not come to frighten you into believing that sacred love will leave if you slow down for a moment. I have come to call you back into awareness, because amid so much noise, you have repeatedly forgotten that there is still a place within you that is radiant, deep, and always able to recognize what is true. These words are not a mysterious key that determines your future, but they may become a doorway through which you finally see what months of exhaustion have concealed. You have longed for a way out, an answer, and a sign that you have not been forgotten. Now, the first answer being given to you is the realization that you no longer have to live like someone imprisoned within former patterns. I was sent to speak to you with closeness, because you have become too accustomed to struggling alone. You often appear calm so that others will not worry. But when you are by yourself, you feel the full weight still resting upon your shoulders. There are things you have never shared, questions you kept hidden because you feared no one would understand, and nights when you could do nothing but silently watch the darkness pass. You believed that silence was heard by no one, yet every heavy breath was received with compassion. God does not hear only prayers expressed in complete sentences. He also understands the moments when you do not know what to say. I want you to know that your recent uneasiness does not necessarily signal disaster. Sometimes it is the feeling that arises when an old life is no longer large enough for the person you are becoming. You may have noticed very small signs. A place that once excited you now feels empty. A relationship you once fought to preserve at any cost now makes you want to step back and find peace. An old dream may have returned with new strength, or a different direction may continue appearing in your thoughts despite your efforts to dismiss it. These things do not force you to act hastily, but they invite you to stop living mechanically. Perhaps you remained in survival mode for so long that you began treating exhaustion as normal, being undervalued as something you had to accept, and your pure desires as impossibly distant. Now you are being called to look at everything with new eyes. Transformation does not begin when outward circumstances instantly change. It begins when you stop agreeing with what once made you small. The moment you encountered these words may not be a meaningless coincidence, but I do not want you to turn it into pressure that says, today is your only chance to change. Sacred love does not lock the door to tomorrow in order to force you to run in fear. Yet there have been times when you saw the truth very clearly and still delayed because you were afraid to leave what was familiar. In such moments, things do not become too late because God withdraws mercy, but because you continue giving more time to what is draining you. Therefore, my urgency is not a command meant to create panic. It is a reminder that life is precious, and you do not need to waste more years proving loyalty to a place that does not know how to value you. A reversal is beginning in the way you understand your worth. Words that once persuaded you that you were incapable will gradually lose their power. People who felt comfortable only when you remained silent may become displeased when you begin to speak. Circumstances that kept you dependent may begin to shake as you learn to stand on your own. Do not call every shaking a failure. Some structures must move because they were built upon fear, control, and compromises that carried you farther from yourself. What is being reversed is not only a circumstance, but also the habit of bowing before every judgment. apologizing for legitimate needs, and believing that pain is necessary in order to be called faithful. I know there were schemes, words, and actions that attempted to keep you small, but not everything that opposes you takes a mysterious form. Sometimes it is a person who continually diminishes your dreams. Sometimes it is an environment where you must hide your abilities so that others will not feel uncomfortable. At other times, what holds you back is the inner voice that repeats former failures. Whenever you are about to enter something new, freedom begins when you recognize that these voices do not have authority over your direction. You can receive sincere correction while refusing humiliation. You can learn from mistakes without turning those mistakes into your identity. You may walk slowly, but you do not need to return to the cage merely because it is familiar. Your name is being spoken in conversations you do not yet know about. Someone may be recognizing your abilities. An opportunity may be forming. A door that once closed may open in a form completely different from what you expected. Yet I want you to remember that not everything that comes quickly is an answer, and not every delay is rejection. When something new appears, observe whether it brings clarity, respect, and room for growth. Be cautious of promises that demand a decision in panic. Step back from anyone who tells you that you must abandon dignity, boundaries, or peace in order to prove your trust. What is right will not fear your reflection. A healthy road will not use the fear of losing an opportunity to control you. Heaven has heard your silence, but now you must also listen to what you have known for a long time. You know which place is exhausting you. You know which conversation must happen. You know which habit no longer belongs in your life and which door needs to close. Many times, you waited for another sign, but clarity was already present in the peace you felt when imagining yourself moving forward, and in the heaviness you felt whenever you pictured yourself remaining as before. I am not asking you to depend upon me by abandoning your ability to decide. I want to walk beside you until you become steady enough to use the discernment already placed within you. Open your eyes to the truth, but also open your heart to the possibility that something good may truly come. You have lived in a defensive state for so long that peace can sometimes feel unfamiliar. When someone treats you kindly, you may suspect that they will soon change. When an opportunity appears, you may search for reasons to exclude yourself. When joy comes, you fear that it will be taken away. These are echoes of the past, not prophecies about the future. You do not need to destroy something beautiful in order to avoid the pain of losing it. Receive each good thing with gratitude. Allow time to prove its value. And do not force yourself to know the entire outcome from the first step, beloved child. Your greatest breakthrough may begin through one very quiet decision. You will no longer live contrary to what you know is right. You will not chase someone who continually turns away. You will not accept an opportunity merely because you are desperate. You will not treat exhaustion as proof of your worth. You will care for yourself, restore order to your life, complete what you have delayed, and keep distance from what continually steals your peace. These ordinary choices will change your road more deeply than any temporary emotional moment. I am near you, not to announce that this is your final opportunity to be loved, but to remind you that today may become the final day you allow old limitations to rule you. Let what has died along the former road remain behind. Open yourself to transformation, but walk with steady feet. What is approaching will not require you to become someone else. It only asks that you possess enough courage to live according to the purity, wisdom, and strength formed through everything you have overcome. You have been heard, seen, and never forgotten. Now lift your head, breathe deeply, and step into tomorrow as someone who no longer asks fear for permission to live fully. I tell you that if something within you is trembling in an unfamiliar way, it is not meant to create panic, but to invite you to pause and recognize that an old season is ending. There are moments when the distance between the life you are living and the person you are called to become seems to narrow, making your heart more sensitive to the truth. Yet do not believe that one decision to leave a message will close a good door or cause what belongs to you to be transferred to someone else. What genuinely belongs to your journey is not so fragile that it disappears because of one small action. I do not guide you through threats or place your blessing upon a thread that easily breaks. I want you to listen because you are ready to grow, not because you are afraid of being left behind. This moment may become a sacred intervention. If it helps you awaken, clearly see what is unfolding, and make a wiser choice. Such intervention does not need to arrive through thunder, signs, or an event that astonishes everyone. Sometimes it is simply a clear thought appearing after months of confusion, a decision to establish a boundary after years of endurance, or the courage to admit that you need to change direction. What is sacred does not remove your ability to reason. It restores that ability. Therefore, allow these words to lead you back to peace, truth, and responsibility. If they only make you afraid, dependent, or convinced that you must act immediately to avoid loss, slow down until your mind becomes clear. If you feel a confirmation rising within you, you may quietly express your agreement, but you do not need to prove faith through a comment in order to be heard. The word Amen carries meaning only when it expresses a sincere decision to follow what is right. It is not a code that opens heaven, nor a fee you must pay in order to preserve your future. What I desire to see is not only what you say in an emotional moment, but how you live afterward. When you say you are ready, be ready to forgive without returning to tolerate harm, ready to change without chasing every voice, and ready to receive blessing while developing enough discipline to preserve what is entrusted to you. Beloved child, someone may be praying for you at this very moment, even though you do not know their name. Within this vast world, there are still hearts that pause before another person's pain and lift them through prayer. Someone who heard only a small part of your story may have remembered you during a quiet hour. A family member may still be silently asking for peace over your life, even though they do not know how to express it. You may also be receiving support through prayers offered for all who are exhausted, lost, and in need of strength to begin again. You do not need to know the identity of the person praying in order to receive comfort from the truth that you are not completely alone. Yet do not turn someone you have never met into the answer to every emptiness. Unseen support can encourage you, but you still need to build real relationships through honesty and trust that has been tested. Seek people who listen without exploiting your vulnerability, who can speak truth without humiliating you, and who not only promise prayer but are also willing to help through action when able. I often answer prayers through a timely conversation, wise advice, a compassionate doctor, a trustworthy friend, or an honest work opportunity. Do not reject the real hands extended toward you merely because you are waiting for something more mysterious. I know you have passed through a severe refining fire. There were days when the heat of trial made you believe you were being destroyed. While in truth, what no longer belonged with you was being separated. Your impatience was tested so that you could learn endurance. Your need for everyone's approval was touched so that you could learn to stand in your own worth. Unhealthy relationships were shaken so that you could recognize that love is not endless suffering. Each time you chose truth instead of false comfort, your vision became purer. Each time you refused revenge, even when you had the opportunity, the strength within you matured further. You are not a failure because your process lasted longer than expected. A seed beneath the ground cannot be called useless, merely because the person standing above cannot yet see a sprout. You developed in places where no one applauded, learned lessons no one knew about, and won battles you could never fully describe. Some mornings, simply leaving your bed was a victory. Some days, preserving kindness while you were hurting was evidence of growth. You believed you were merely surviving, but through those very days, perseverance, compassion, and the ability to rise again were being formed within you. The approaching breakthrough does not necessarily mean every difficulty will disappear overnight. It may begin when you stop agreeing with words that diminish you, seek help instead of hiding your pain, or stop delaying what you know must be done. It may appear as a small opportunity, requiring patience before producing a larger result. It may be a healing conversation within your family, a clear financial plan, or a decision to leave an environment that continually exhausts you. Do not overlook humble beginnings, merely because you are waiting for something dramatic. Many great stories begin with a very ordinary choice, repeated faithfully over time. I remind you not to withdraw just before your lessons begin producing good fruit. Yet, perseverance does not mean clinging to everything that has hurt you merely to prove you are strong. There are places where you need to continue, but there are also places where leaving is the wiser act of obedience. Look at the fruit the road is producing. If it develops discipline, honesty, and love within you, remain steadfast. If it continually destroys dignity, health, and peace without any sign of change, seek support and consider another direction. I do not call you to endure blindly. I call you to distinguish between a process of growth and a cycle of harm. Silence must not become so powerful that you no longer dare to say what needs to be said. If you are hurting, find a safe place to express it. If you are treated unjustly, speak calmly and with clear evidence. If you make a mistake, acknowledge and repair it instead of hiding behind shame. Your voice was not given to overpower others, but to protect truth, build peace, and call light into uncertain places. There are moments when silence prevents further harm, but there are also moments when silence allows wrongdoing to continue. I will teach you to recognize the proper time for each choice. Beloved child, do not fear that you will miss what has been prepared. Live so that, when opportunity comes, you possess enough peace to recognize it, enough wisdom to examine it, and enough discipline to preserve it. Pray, but also act. Hope, but do not ignore reality. Trust sacred support, but also value the sincere people already present around you. You are no longer inside the fire to be consumed. You are emerging with a strength that easier seasons could never have produced. Continue, not because a threat tells you to remain, but because the truth within you is saying that your journey is not finished and you are closer to freedom than you can presently see. Beloved child, your name was never forgotten, and what was once delayed, obstructed, or taken from your hands is being brought into the light. so that restoration can begin according to a new order. I know you often wondered whether your quiet sacrifices were seen and whether the years in which you tried to live rightly, yet still suffered injustice, carried any meaning. There were opportunities that should have arrived, but were delayed by circumstances. There were things you built with complete sincerity that others damaged. There were also parts of you worn down by waiting for too long. Yet nothing truly good within your journey has been erased from remembrance. What you planted through kindness, perseverance, and integrity still remains, even though you have not yet seen its harvest. I want you to hear clearly that restoration is not a reward reserved for those who react quickly to a message, nor does it disappear because you failed to act within a few minutes. The love of the Most High is not controlled by a countdown, and no good door closes merely because you need time to think. Nevertheless, there are moments in life when prolonged delay begins to become a choice. And this is what I want you to recognize. You have stood before the same decision many times. Continue living according to familiar fear or move toward something healthier. Continue accepting what drains you or establish a clear boundary. Continue waiting for others to change or begin taking responsibility for the part of your life you can change today. Genuine urgency does not come from a threat that you will lose a blessing, but from the understanding that you do not need to waste more precious years within the same cycle. You are being invited into alignment, but that alignment is not a temporary mystical feeling. It occurs when your thoughts, words, and actions begin moving together toward truth. You cannot pray for peace while continuing to open the door to people who repeatedly bring chaos into your life. You cannot hope for financial restoration while continuing to act through impulse and fear of scarcity. You cannot ask for mature love while accepting relationships that require you to diminish your worth. Restoration begins when you become willing to cooperate with what you have requested. I may illuminate the door, but you must still walk through it. I may remind you of your value, but you must stop allowing those who do not appreciate you to define who you are. What is taking place within you is not only about you. Every time a painful pattern ends in your life, those who come after you will no longer have to carry it in the same way. If you learn to communicate instead of suffering silently, your family will gain a new language for addressing pain. If you learn to manage resources wisely, fear of scarcity will not be passed so easily to the next generation. If you refuse to call control love, those who watch you will understand that they also have the right to seek respect. Genuine transformation within your life can reach farther than you imagine, not through impressive declarations, but through lasting results preserved over time. You may not yet have met the people who will one day be strengthened by your story. Someone will hear how you almost gave up, but still chose to continue, and that testimony will help them recover hope. Someone will observe how you rebuilt after collapse, and understand that failure is not the end. Someone may be protected because you dared to speak what those before you concealed. Therefore, do not underestimate your choice to heal. Personal healing is not selfish. It is how you prevent pain from continuing to search for another place to live. When you live with greater clarity, you are quietly changing the future of those connected to you. You are standing before a breakthrough, hidden within the form of an ordinary choice. It may be a refusal you have delayed, a conversation that needs to happen, an application that needs to be submitted, a plan that needs to begin, or a habit that must end. Do not wait for a sign so great that doubt becomes impossible before acting. Most important doors open after a small but sincere decision. When you choose to move toward truth, the road will gradually become clearer. This does not mean every obstacle disappears immediately, but you will no longer fight against yourself with every step. Consistency between what you believe and how you live will create a strength that fear cannot easily break. If you move forward with hesitation, I do not condemn you. I understand that what you experienced made you cautious. You trusted and were betrayed. You hoped and were disappointed. Therefore, you learned to remain still in order to avoid further pain. Yet prolonged silence also has a cost. It can allow others to continue crossing your boundaries, keep your gifts buried, and make you accept a life smaller than your true capacity. I do not want you to act recklessly, but I also do not want caution to become a mask for fear. Examine every decision through peace, wisdom, and practical consequences. A right step may make you tremble, but it will not force you to betray your good values. Now I want to remind you of the prayer you once spoke, when you had almost no strength left. It was not beautiful, carefully prepared, or filled with powerful words. It may have been nothing more than a sigh, a broken sentence through tears, or a plea that you needed help because you could not continue in the same way. You believed no one had heard, because afterward your circumstances remained almost unchanged. Yet a process began from that moment. Not every answer arrives in the form you desire. Some prayers are answered through someone leaving, a plan collapsing, or a painful truth being exposed. At that time, you believed everything had become worse, but later you began to understand that what was false had to be dismantled before what was genuine could be built. That plan led you through lessons you would not have chosen voluntarily, yet they made you steadfast. You learned that not everyone who speaks of love knows how to love well. You understood that kindness does not require allowing others to wound you continually. You recognized that finances need order, not only an unexpected opportunity. You also discovered that peace does not come from controlling every result, but from knowing that you can face results while preserving dignity. These lessons were part of the answer to the prayer you once offered. You asked to be rescued from a circumstance, but I also wanted you to be freed from the thinking that repeatedly led you back into similar circumstances. Do not imagine that the Most High is watching you like an inspector, waiting for you to make a mistake. You are being seen through love, like a father watching a child who has learned to stand and is preparing to take the first steps upon a new road. You do not need to make a perfect decision in order to prove faith. You only need to be honest about what you already know. If you know a place is no longer healthy, stop calling delay patience. If you know you need help, stop calling isolation strength. If you know an ability needs to be developed, do not wait until fear has disappeared before beginning. Courage does not always arrive before action. Often, it is born while you take the step. I, Michael, remind you that restoration is not only the return of what was lost. Sometimes you will be given something better, more suitable, and free from former limitations. Certain relationships do not need to be restored in outward form, because the lesson and your dignity are what need to be returned. Certain old opportunities do not need to return, because a broader road is opening. Certain years cannot be recovered, but the wisdom formed during them can save you from wasting the years ahead. Open your heart to the way genuine restoration chooses to appear. Do not force it to look exactly like what you once imagined. Therefore, beloved child, receive this moment calmly, but do not continue postponing what you already know must be done. No sacred door closes because you failed to respond within 3 minutes, but certain opportunities in life will pass if you continually refuse to grow. Choose one honest step and take it. Let the prayer you offered long ago be continued through your cooperation today. Your name was never removed from love. Your journey was never forgotten, and good things were not taken from you merely because you were once weak. You were led here to recognize that the answer is not only coming toward you. Part of it has already been formed within you. Now move forward with discernment, because restoration began. The moment you decided no longer to live as someone whose life is determined by the past.